What's happening, Sip and Chill family? It is your guy, Coach Reg, and welcome back to another edition of Sip and Chill with Coach Reg. So excited you're here, regardless of the lounge that you're choosing to view in, be it on Facebook or here with us on YouTube, or be you on YouTube. We're excited you're here. Excited if you are here live, and excited if you will see this on replay. This is kind of cool. I'm so excited to be back with you for another edition. And how was your week? Hope you're doing well. Please be sure to say hello when you get in, because, and some of you know, some of you are new, StreamYard, you have to accept the permissions so that I can see your name. Now, in fairness, I absolutely will respond to you and your comments if I see your name, and I'll try my best to respond regardless, but I don't know who it is. Otherwise, it'll just say Facebook user, and we don't want that. So, this is for my YouTube folks. Welcome back to the lounge. Happy you are here with us, joining us. Again, be you live or we'll see this whenever you do. Excited you are here. Indeed. So who am I? I'm Coach Reg. I am a professional relationship coach and the founder of Are You Coached, which is a relationship coaching platform geared toward helping individuals identify, participate, strengthen, and sustain relationships. My clients are high-achieving professional men and women who have attained many of their professional goals, but may not yet have the interpersonal relationship that best complements and or serves him or her. And so we coach around core values. We coach around those things that matter to you, those elements, if you will, that are essential for really creating and establishing quality connections, right? We've done some things in media. You can totally get out to our website to learn more about us. And also something else I'll share with you quickly before we get into it. I probably should tell you about this a little later, but I want to give it to you now. This is here it is. Yes, I have a digital card. So we'll let this play so that you can see that. If you want to copy it at the end, there's going to be other ways to connect with us. But if you want to jot that down or catch it when you can, that's who we are, right? That's how you can connect with us to learn more about me, what we do as a coaching practice. So welcome back. How was your week? Excited you are here. Indeed. So again, can respond to your comments if you choose to leave them. Hey, Cap, what's up, buddy? I see you, man. Welcome back to the lounge, bro. Glad you are here. So this week's topic. Appreciate the feedback. And definitely going to get into that before we get into the topic, which is what makes relationships so hard. I think that's perplexing for a lot of folks, right? So for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, just a bit of context. So throughout the week, because I understand that a lot of people are not on YouTube, on Facebook, forgive me, are not on Facebook. So what I do is I ask questions in the group throughout the week and to stimulate engagement. Right. So we get that from men and women, and that's awesome. So thank you to all of you who choose to respond. And so we discuss it ahead of our topics on Fridays, right? So that you'll understand where this is coming from. So I'm going to share some of the responses with you in a bit, and then we'll get into the topic. OK, so what makes relationships so hard? The first question that I had asked this week in the group. A question. I won't say the first because I don't want to suggest that they are numbered, although they kind of are, because I have to, I'm a structure guy, right? So it kind of makes sense for me to do it that way. But the first question, one of the questions I'd asked was the topic of our session, right? Our Sip and Chill tonight. What makes relationships so hard? Yolanda said, relationships are not really hard. It's the dynamics of the people within them. Usually people are looking for someone to complete them instead of someone to meet them where they are and have the potential to help them grow. Very thoughtful response. Harold says, I believe the lack of communication or the lack of knowing how to communicate is what makes relationships so difficult. I couldn't agree more, Harold. I could not agree more. If there's consistent communication, the rest will follow. It is my opinion. You can't have real intimacy or sex until you have wholesome communication. He says, we got it all wrong, Coach. Hey, Harold, I hear you, bro. And I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny. I think we need to do a topic on communication, because I think a lot of times you'll hear in some of the responses in a few moments that many people, actually, if you just go into Facebook and see the comments, many people had, communication as a challenge in relationships and why things are so difficult. And it's the challenges. And I was having a conversation with another man this week. His name is Tracy. I probably shared one of his responses as well. And he and I were talking about this very thing and how many of us will say communication is the key. And the challenge is, it's like a catch-all, right? Because communication is not just, we need to talk, but what are you talking about? See, the goal is not to talk just to talk or have conversations just to have conversations. The goal is to establish a foundation from which you build and grow. And both people, you would want to be clear. See, because you can have in your mind how you want it to go and how you hope it will go. And you just want to check in with your person and see if they're on board with that as well and where they are, because you don't want to waste time. So it's so much more involved than just the word communication. It's so much more to it. Macon said, baggage or emotional scars from previous relationships that have not been dealt with. Also true. Okay, I'm going to take this off for a second. One moment. Get this guy hidden. Okay, there we go. It's kind of distracting me. So I just wanted to let you know that you can grab that and it'll be there. So it's fine. But yeah, so the next question was, when you've met someone you really like, how do you remain measured and keep your emotions in check? Harold had another response. He says, I realize meeting someone can have joys and pitfalls. I pull from my previous experience and keep my intentions pure. I invest time where I'm valued and with someone who communicates and is interested in me. This is more of a mature man's chase, not an aimless hunt. Well said, Harold. Well said. Tawana says, this is a delicate balance. You must acknowledge your feelings, even if it's just to yourself, and be mature enough to accept realities such as feelings not being mutual. And if feelings are mutual, just enjoy the moment. Either way, you've proven that you're a viable human. Thoughtful, very thoughtful. I like that. I'm telling you guys, that's pretty smart. I dig my group. I'm gonna tell you, I dig you guys because here's why. You think, and that's my goal. I want you to think. I want you to think beyond just the moment of, why is this important? I want you to think about that and be clear on why whatever you're considering is important to you. Lakeisha says, friendship first and romance second. Unfortunately, I think women meet someone new and they begin planning an imaginary wedding in their head, which can cloud judgment and read more into things. Go in with no expectation, be yourself, and give the positive energy you seek. Yeah, so here's a challenge, right? I think we all, both men and women, meet new people or can meet people. And we, kind of create a narrative of what this person could be to us, what they could eventually mean to us. And we don't really know them yet, right? And so it takes time and it requires patience to be disciplined to allow it to unfold so that you can learn this person and they can learn about you. Okay. Another question we asked. What makes a relationship difficult to establish and sustain? Jules says, I think it starts with me. My perceptions. Have I healed in certain areas? Do I even think I need to heal? Have I learned from previous relationships? What are the patterns of people that I'm attracting? That's a big one. How can I manifest what I deserve and who aligns with me in most of my core values? Am I vetting a potential mate to the standards I've set for myself? In what ways have I earned my exclusivity? Is there clarity about our needs and wants? Is there safety to be authentic and vulnerable? This is a loaded question, but those were top of mind for her. Very good, Jewel. Very good. Those are the types of questions, because again, we're talking about being intentional. Many of you know, and for those of you who don't, the tenets of are you focused? Are you purposeful? Are you evolving? And if not, are you coached? See, because those types of questions are what you need to know and what you want to know, quite frankly, the answers, to those questions are what you want to know for you, because you want to be as prepared as possible such that you can make informed decisions based upon information either you have heard, that you have observed, that you have learned, right? You definitely want to be able to make the best decision for yourself, regardless of the relationship you choose to consider and relationship you choose to participate in, quite frankly. Shannon says, lack of trust and communication. We all bring our past experiences with us. Yeah, but see, again, here's the thing. That may be true, but it's also very surface. What does it take? You know, what makes it difficult? Yeah, that is, but how do we make it better? Because we all many of us have the same challenge in terms of, we may have similar challenges in that, experiences we've had that were not necessarily positive. We didn't communicate as best we could or could have or didn't deliver. We didn't check in. We didn't check in with ourselves. We may have taken some things for granted, may have made some assumptions. And it begs the question, what do you learn from the experience? And how does that learning make you better going forward? Tracy says, commitment to partnership and the willingness to adjust. Change is not always required. Actually, yeah, that's interesting because it was commitment to a partnership and the willingness to adjust and compromise. Change is not always required. And let's be honest, at this station in life, I'm pretty sure no one's changing. You may make modifications, you may make adjustments, but that's an intentional action as well, because you have to want to do it and believe the person in the relationship is worth it. Otherwise, why would you bother? So yeah. The last question I posed, and Joel responded as well. What have you noticed about yourself when faced with challenges in your relationship? I'm guilty of focusing on the challenge more than the solution. Also tend to make up stories in my head. That's not intuition. Good for you, Joel. Before gathering real data about the challenges, I've come to realize the challenges trigger emotions in me that are rooted in something else. It's time to check my triggers and be better at overcoming challenges. She's very reflective. That's what I want us to be. Right? That's what I want you to be. I want you to win. You've heard me say this before. I want you to win. I want you to go be great with whomever you choose to go be great with or be great with. Okay. That's a very real thing. So many of you know, if you've been following us for the past, if you're new to us, please revisit previous content. And if you've been following us and been rocking with us for a bit, you know that we've been talking about EQ, emotional intelligence, for the past few weeks. And guess what? It's going to continue, because in EQ, emotional intelligence, it has components, right? There are 4 components of EQ: self-management, relationship management, self-awareness, and social awareness. Okay. And so what I want to do is kind of deal with topics that address those components, right? That cause us to be reflective, to cause us to be thoughtful, to be more intentional, to be more focused, right? What I did not share with you yet is that when I work with my clients, we work around a model that I've developed that allows you, be you in relationship currently or considering a relationship. It's a plug and play, because you can quickly identify where you are and what action that needs to happen to work through, resolve, or begin discussing the issue or concern that you have. I think it's pretty awesome, to be honest with you, because we get these questions. You know why? Because relationships are not logical. They're emotional. They're matters of the heart. And sometimes what's right in front of us isn't so clear. But if we have something we can reference that will help us kind of at least remain focused in the moment, be present in the moment, and introduce whatsoever we need to introduce in a way that is constructive and serves the relationship. So, what actually makes relationships so hard? I'm glad you asked. Yeah. As I said, self-awareness is a key component. And the question that we're going to ask this week about what makes relationships so hard deals with the self-awareness component of EQ. Okay. And so some self-awareness questions you may want to ask yourself. And for those of you who are taking notes, please feel free to do so, but you can also replay it and catch the questions, or jot the questions, if you will, at another time. Number 1, do you hold on to past experiences that keep you from being present in the moment? kind of like someone said in their response, I think it was Macon, she said that people haven't healed from their scars, right? And again, we're talking about self-awareness. That's the whole point of this, right? Are you aware of yourself? Are you aware of how you show up? Or do you imagine or assume that you're being well received? You know, I know that many of us have been hurt. I know that many of us have experienced relationship traumas. I get it, right? But it need not be a life sentence in terms of the relationships that you can have if you can ever be successful again. Because let's be honest, the persons who hurt you in your past is not the person who was sitting in front of you right now, who you're just getting to know, who you're just beginning to meet and learn more about, and they you. So holding them accountable for stuff that they had nothing to do with, come on now. We're talking about awareness. And listen, can we just be honest? What we're talking about requires courage. It requires a measure of vulnerability. It requires a level of emotional maturation to be honest with yourself that this is a worthwhile endeavor, to really explore why you make the choices you make, why you do have the triggers you have, what has caused these, where do they come from, what's the genesis of them, right? How have past hurts and traumas prevented you from seeing someone who could be good for you because you were so guarded? I think men and women, we let people go out of our lives that could have been good. Now, not to say that we weren't ready. We may just not have been ready, and that's honest. But there may have been people that were presented that you allowed to leave your space and didn't allow the opportunity to learn more because you were afraid. You might be exposed. What if they see me? What if they see my, how I really feel and how this affects me? Why not? It's your truth. It's not about being cool. It's not about being, well, I don't want to tell them that. Nobody said bare your soul. But in order to get to know someone, you're going to have to share. You can temper your sharing. That's fine. But it's not about you sharing your soul or you bearing your soul or the person that you're getting to know doing the same. It's getting to know someone based on the merits of who they are and how who they are aligns with who you are, your values, your desires, your goals and aspirations. If you're aligned, and if you're not aligned, is this somebody that I do, like Tracy talked about, not about changing? Is this someone who I would be willing to consider adjusting for because this is worthwhile? I guess it comes down to, what do you really want? What do you ultimately desire? Because when you're clear on that, I promise you, you're going to be more efficient in meeting people. Here's what else. If you're in an established relationship, guess what? You can become more efficient there as well. Because in established relationships, what can happen is you can easily take your person for granted and they can easily take you for granted. And you make assumptions and you create narratives, and it's human nature because we're all flawed and fallible and we think of these things and it's like, have conversations to check in to ensure that you are indeed good. And if you're not good, let's look at the areas where we need to improve so we can go be great. Next question, self-awareness. How do you determine if your person's behaviors are irritants or deal breakers? How much time do you give yourself to determine the answer? Now, obviously, the obvious ones are the obvious ones, right? But what about something that may not be so obvious? What about something that may be like, I'm not sure. I hadn't really thought about it. And is the irritant or something that you wouldn't prefer, is it worth getting to know the person, the process of getting to know someone away? Listen, I know it's hard. I know, you meet people and you want to connect and you want to be honest, you want to be transparent, but you can't, there's no assurance that they will be. And that's okay, because we can't control that part. But what you can control is yours and how you show up, how you share, how aware of yourself you are, and how aware of the environment you are. See, again, you may be interested in someone. They may have demonstrated interest in you. But you both still have to allow time to unfold, to validate if what you were told is true. And if this person who's presented themselves to you, are they who they really say they are? And that's only going to be known through time and actions. Observation. Yeah. So what? So you can make an informed decision. Do I continue with this person or do I let it go? Do I walk away? Doesn't have to be contentious. Hey, you know what? I don't think we're fit. That's okay. So it's honest. Why would you waste time? Just be honest. Because if you know that you're working on healing and becoming whole, you want to be paired and partnered with someone who has a common goal. Again, we're all flawed and fallible. The goal is to be better so we can go be great. You're trying to identify a person you can be great with. Hope they're, and listen, you want them to look at you. Hey, can we be great? Yeah. Is this making sense? We haven't even gotten into the meat yet, but I want to make sure we're tracking. So please feel free to type in the comments. We're following. I'm in Facebook. I can't see you. So I'm in StreamYard. So just let me know if we're tracking. We're going to continue, but I just want to make sure it's landing. Okay. Oh, this is Sip and Chill. So you saw me do that. So you can too. Your beverage is your beverage if you choose to have one at all. Again, welcome to all of you, wherever you may be, whichever lounge you may be in Facebook or YouTube. Be you live, or we'll see this at another time on replay in Facebook and whenever you choose in YouTube. That's what I love about it. So to all of you who are hanging out with us in the lounge, welcome. And again, so glad you are here. All right. So listen, there's 7 questions that you can ask yourself when you're trying to determine if you should stay or go and getting to know someone. And quite frankly, if you're in an established relationship, these are questions. Listen to me. I'm not saying that these are it. These are the only questions. The purpose of Sip and Chill is to give you information, share information with you that cause you to think, to stimulate thought, to be courageous enough to make the tough decisions, to be courageous enough to establish new standards for your life, your loves, and your relationships. That's why we do this, folks. That's why I coach. I want you to win. That's not just a slogan. It's not a catch-all. It's a thing. So again, be you getting to know someone or be you well-established. 7 questions you want to ask yourself. Number 1, does your person listen to you, consider your input, and include you in decisions? Now, obviously, that's going to vary because not everybody's in an established relationship where you need to be included in someone else's decisions. Let's be clear. Okay. But you can learn if someone is willing to listen, if they share something with you about this going on with them professionally or something in their lives. And they're like, hey, I want to run something by you. Listen, first of all, that's huge. If someone you're getting to know feels comfortable enough to share with you and they want to run something by you, honor that. Because that should not be taken lightly, because that suggests that there's some level and measure of respect that they have for you. Just something to consider. Obviously, if you are in an established relationship, it certainly matters, right? Because you are talking about being included in decisions and you being included in theirs and they being included in yours, right? Do you listen to your person, consider their input, and include them in your decisions? You got to know it's 2 sides to this coin, right? It's not just about what you're getting. It's how you are showing up. Are you offering? Are you delivering what you ask? Are you delivering? Are you willing to offer what you expect? It's hard to hold someone accountable for something you're unwilling to do yourself. Just saying. Yeah. Number 2. Do I feel safe emotionally? Do I know if my person feels safe, emotionally safe with me? Here's where vulnerability and safety matter and how much you're going to open up and becoming more connected. Because when you feel emotionally safe, you're more likely and more inclined to share. But when you don't, you're guarded. You're like, no, I'm not going to say this because I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can trust you with my heart. I don't know if I can trust you with this information. And that's huge. That is earned. That's not just given. It's earned. You know, it's funny. I was listening to Layla James, right? The song. I just heard it recently, Falling. I think it's like a wedding song, right? And essentially, I'm sure many of you have heard it because I'm late to the game on some of these things, but nonetheless, one of the lyrics is, would you catch me if I fall? Because I'm falling for you. Would you catch me if I'm falling? Right? That's what being emotionally safe says. I don't have to worry about you catching me because I believe you got me. Yeah, that's the thing. That's peace, people. That's stability. I think ultimately that's what we desire. We may not know how to go about it. We may be guarded. We may hope for these things and want for these things, and they're realistic and reasonable to want and welcome in your lives, especially as we season. Yeah, just makes sense. Number 3, do our values and belief systems agree? We talk about core values often. What are they? Integrity. What do you value? Honesty. What do you do? What do you value? Someone who honors your time, honors their word, honors their commitments. What do you value? And whatever that is, do they agree with the person you're getting to know? Do they agree with the person you're in relationship with? Because guess what? Like Harold talked about in communication, guess what? Many of us don't know how to be in relationships. We lose sight of it because we get comfortable and we just have an existence. So if the goal is to not just exist, but to thrive and flourish and win and go be great, it's going to require some discussions that you may not have known to have, not because you didn't want to. You simply may not have known, hey, I don't really know that answer. I probably should ask. Yeah, you should. Because here's what happens when you don't ask. You're left to your own thoughts, your own narratives, your own perceptions, and they become your realities. And you will tell whomever will listen that you know for certain this is how they feel. Do you? If you haven't asked? Now, I don't know about you, but I don't read minds. I don't. I don't have that gift. So I'm just saying, ask a question, consider it, and oh, by the way, listen to the answer and encourage a person to do the same. Now, let me be clear. I know I say often that, ask your person. I'm saying this because that's the part that you can do. Because you say, well, I'm doing all the work. I got to keep asking. Why do I have to? Why? What about me? Exactly. What about you? And if you're doing these things and the person you're in relationship with or wanting to get to know, or hoping to get to know, I should say, or better yet, open to getting to know, isn't doing the same, I'm going to need you to pay attention. Yeah. This is about your preparation. I told you I work with individuals to help them identify, participate, strengthen, and sustain relationships. You want to know if you are going to be paired with someone who's interested in the same things. Again, do our values and belief systems agree? Number 4, is there a shared desire to be better individually and collectively or together? Is there a shared desire to be better individually and together? What am I saying? Is my person, do they encourage me? Do I want to be better, not just for me, but for them because of who I perceive and understand them to be? Because I see them working, I see them making an effort, and I'm not going to be the weakest link. Do we both want to be the best we can be for ourselves and for each other? Do we share that goal? Does that value agree? Go back to the one before, number 3. Do our values and belief systems agree? Do we agree on that? I mean, can I tell you? Listen, riddle me that, not riddle, but just answer this for me. In your relationships, who does it matter? I mean, it's cool when other people champion you and support you, but who is the person that it means most coming from? The world can think you great, but doesn't it mean more when the person that you're with thinks you hung the moon, who you want to be proud of you, who you want to champion you? I agree, Facebook user. I can't see your name, but thank you for that. Yes, it is critical. I believe that. Because again, if you're not that, if you don't have that desire, why are you doing it? I mean, listen, this isn't for you if you're just kicking it. If you're just hanging out and just, hey, doing your thing, I'm not, hey, listen, no judgment. But this content is for people who get it and want some affirmation. I'm not crazy. No, you're not. It is not ridiculous to desire to be paired and partnered with someone who shares common goals, values, and beliefs. You're not from space or Mars if that's what you desire. It's reasonable. Guess what? There are fellas who do too. Dudes, my guys, holla at me. I need to listen, man. Please type in comments. I want that too. I desire that too. It's not uncool, because just like Harold talked about, this thing is not just about sex. This is a mature chase. Because I'm not doing this for my health. I'm not doing this just to, I'm the man. No, we need each other more than we don't. The problem is we don't converse enough to dismantle perceptions, to overcome the challenges that we both genders say communication is a challenge. Yeah, it is. But like you've heard me talk about many times before, we did a topic on what does I miss you really mean? What does when someone says I miss you really mean? It's the same thing as saying we need to communicate more. Okay, about what? And how are we communicating? Is our communicating like hitting a wall, or is it being received? Am I hearing you? Are you hearing me? Am I taking for granted that you hear me? Am I taking for granted that you hear me? I'm sorry, are you taking for granted that I hear you? I think you know what I meant if I got that wrong. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. See, flawed and fallible. Coach Reg gets it wrong. But I get it right because I understand this too. I get it right because here's the thing. We can make assumptions in our relationships and take things for granted and just let things go. And we let them go for so long that when something actually happens, you're like, oh my God, how did that happen? How did I miss that? Because you probably weren't checking in. It's possible that you took some things for granted, made some assumptions instead of asking questions. The key is to not wait till it's a crisis. The key is to address things as you see them so they can be addressed when it's not a crisis, when you're not angry and upset and ready to walk out the door. The person's ready to walk out the door. Yeah, that's another topic all by itself. Yeah. Number 5. Have I accepted and or owned my responsibilities in the relationship? Being in a relationship is a shared responsibility. Yeah. We all do things, but it's not her fault. It's not his fault. We chose to do this. This happened to us. These are things you want to ask yourself when you're trying to figure out, do I stay or do I go? Any questions, comments, thoughts? Number 6, are my frustrations? I thought it, you know what? I must have said that twice. I'm sorry. Are my frustrations with my person in the relationship irritants or deal breakers? I feel like we talked about that one, but yeah. Are your frustrations irritants or deal breakers? Oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. That was one of the self-awareness questions. I was like, why am I saying this again? Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it was one of the self-awareness questions. You know, how do you know if it's irritants and deal breakers? In fact, let me be clear on that because I don't want to misspeak. These are my notes. Yeah, how do you determine? That was the third self-awareness question. How do you determine if your person's behaviors are irritants or deal breakers? And so this question asks, are your frustrations with your person irritants or deal breakers? You know, for those of you in relationships, established relationships, it's okay that you struggle because that's part of it. As long as you're struggling together and you're working on it and you want to. It just may be a matter of how do we interact more successfully. It may require having more involved conversations, asking more pointed questions. Really, it's going to take some time to discover how we best communicate, how you and your person best communicate. It could take some time to figure that out because you may have just been on autopilot and you're like, again, taking things for granted and saying, hey, we're not so much good, but we struggle, but we just exist. How do we make it better? How do we make it better? Lastly, have we exhausted every avenue to salvage or repair the relationship have we exhausted every avenue to salvage or repair the relationship we both once agreed we wanted? In other words, have you done all you can do before you walk away? No regrets. Like, man, I wish I had done this. I wish I had said that. I wish I had been this. I wish, I'd been that. Wish I had listened more. Wish we had discussed more. Yeah. Listen, we're about to get out of here. If you're someone who lacks the skills to experience healthy relationships and quality connections, go to my schedule. You got it at bit.ly connect to RU, or you can go to bit.ly Coach Reg session and schedule your no obligation chemistry session. Yeah. Because again, I know people want this. I know they want more. They want quality relationships and quality connections. And oftentimes you don't know how to get there. If you're someone who's considering dating, someone who's started to date, and you want to make sure you establish a good foundation, you're someone who is in an established relationship right now and still kind of like, I'm not sure about us. We're not sure about us. We want to work on some things, but not quite sure how to do it. Your people, you qualify for a chemistry session. I encourage you to schedule it soonest. If your relationship and your person matter to you, as long as those two statements are true, the chemistry session will serve you. If it isn't, can't make any promises. Like I said, I want you to win. I want you to go be great. Any questions, any thoughts before we get out of here for the weekend? No. Listen, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and ladies, okay? Definitely appreciate you to life. Listen, have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your evening. Quite frankly, have a great weekend. Of course, stay safe. It's your guy, Coach Reg, and I love. I look forward to seeing you next week on the next edition of Sip and Show with Coach Reg. Hey, listen, stay safe. Have a great weekend, and I will see you soon. Take good care.